And as Justin said, I'm Simone. I'm from Italia Red Cross. I'm National Coordinator for Strategic Analysis and Foresight for my national society. And in this presentation, I think we'll speak we will talk about engaging volunteers, and especially in youth engaging. But first of all, and before that, I would like to have a common idea of what strategic foresight is. Let's start with that. And as you can imagine, this is a timeline, and we as people and as volunteers, we used to think a lot about the past and the trouble, and trouble to you in some way if you think that past it can lend us some help. We think a lot about the present and what is happening right now, but not so much about the future. This strange entity in our timeline sometimes is hard to think about, but it's not so easy to think about the future, or we have to better say futures, not just one future. We don't know how many possibilities or how many scenarios, for example, can occur in the future. The future is a kind of space in time in which there will be more surprises and changes, as well, a completely different situation from what we are used to. And we have a kind of problem, I think, that we are all rooted in looking for today possibilities rather than the future one, and which led us to pay an important price compared to what will happen in the future. Contrary to what we think, we need to be well aware of few things. The world is constantly changing, and some of these changes are so profound and structural that whether we like it or not, we should come to terms with them. But contrary to what we think, changes have always been there, every day faster than ever, and letting us face new unexpected situations. Changes, in some way, are in a constant state of steady acceleration and have a strange consequence on our decision-making ability. The past, as said, data or experience, for example, are no longer enough to take decision and build some kind of future-proof strategies. We need to follow another way of thinking, sooner or later, thinking about the past or the present, and following this way of thinking, sooner or later we will face up the consequences of unexpected and uncertain changes. What we can do? So we can look forward with a new kind of lens as mine to explore futures and uncertainty, or what still happens, and prepare us now to face all of these things, all these changes. We have to learn to work with futures and seeking them useful insights for our nowadays decision making. So going back to our timeline, there is nothing to imagine or reinvent. Is it just a matter of acquiring these tools, a new process of literacy, we can say, in our strategic planning, exactly like writing or counting, for example. Through future literacy, as I said, we can pass from a strategic planning mindset where we can set a vision, define long-term goals, and then and the changes we want to bring based on what we observe today and what happened yesterday, to another kind of plan, to a strategic foresight mindset in which strategies and goals are oriented to different futures that lies ahead. Through a kind of observation of current challenges and future signals, we can understand today what we have to implement and to be prepared tomorrow to face what the future holds in some way. As you can see, this is a definition of strategic foresight. You can find it on the OECD page on what is strategic foresight. That is a structured and systematic way of using ideas about the future to anticipate possible opportunities and challenges and better prepare to change, as we said. But this is not, I think, only about our movement or political or decision making. It's a think about us, our daily lives. Who of you hasn't been surprised by an unexpected political event or a disaster as the pillar of our webinar, or had to rethink their plans because of something they hadn't prepared for, or found that the usual way of solving a problem doesn't work anymore? We can do with strategic foresight and with the future, we can work with them and using a wide range of methodologies, like with signals, trends, and megatrends, building and analyzing multiple scenarios, and at least many other future tools to gather useful information. Remember a thing, strategic foresight works on... Hello? Okay, I hear some voices. Okay. Strategic foresight doesn't work on short terms. We used to work on 6 months, 1 year, or 2 years. These are operational windows or day-to-day management. As a movement, we have to work and learn to work with distant futures. 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, give us the time to try to prepare, changing and orienting the present, building solid strategies, managing future risks and opportunities that we can face in the futures. Regarding Italian Red Cross, our route started, our journey started in 2022. And once we understood all the things we said previously about strategic foresight and its importance, we then started some just little steps, one ahead another. And we started our journey with Solferino Academy. We started a collaboration for a training of trainers called, for the occasion, Future Roots, to strengthen our national society's skill in managing innovation and change processes. And in it, we provided to 14 participants, as myself, volunteers and officers, with strategic foresight and decision-making skills and tools. But also everything needed to replicate the training to the national territory. One of the things we did in the past. One of the things we did. After that, we, with this kind of mindset and on input of our Chief of Innovation and Volunteering, Gabriele Bellocchi, we started a working group. We started writing down a toolkit based on what we learn and a project to foster strategic foresight to our national society. After that, the next, with them, before going ahead, we had 3 things in mind, 3 main goals as a team in mind. The first one was raising volunteers and governing boards awareness, igniting a process of awareness and organizational culture as based on tomorrow and not just on yesterday and today. Build a vision sense based also on future and signal. This is a key point of our mindset. And being leaders and not doers in what we are already good at, to make decisions, strategies, policies in the present, but also based in the future. What will happen in the future? The second point was helping the Italian Red Cross deal with changes, such as our National Society 2030 strategy review. And doing these with the new partners, we would like to observe the changes taking place and support governing boards at various levels in making decisions, defining strategies and policies more evidence-based. we had these problems. Sometimes decisions are not evidence-based or based on data or information. Sometimes decisions are taken on ideas, on something, especially on a local level. But we had to think more about the future and what will happen now. And the third key point is is spreading the strategic foresight tools to every associative level to intercept ongoing and future changes and to make decision and implement new action based on evidence, data, information, past, present, but also future one. Going back to our timeline, the next step was where we first there were the first introduction of some concept, for example, trend and scenarios to our national innovation meeting in Turin. And in December, we did in Jam 10. It's where it was an event where we had our General Assembly. We did the first presentation and the workshops to the association about strategic foresight tools, and 2 sessions for governing board member, also youth representatives. And this is the first time we talk about them, participate in the event. As I said, this was the first time we realized one important thing for what we did after that. Especially interest was addressed to us by the youth representative, part of the local and regional branches governing board. And this was curious about, because in our statutory chart and strategies, youth volunteer and young volunteer are present before being future of our national society. They are the one in the hand lies the word future. In 2023, we started another introduction webinar like this to all volunteers in March, presenting all our projects as a working group. And we realized that also in this occasion, Italian Red Cross youth volunteers were the most interested ones when we gathered some feedback about. In September, we did another workshop and created and structured a workshop that we propose in another edition of the National Innovation Meeting, this time in Milan. The feedback there has been enthusiastic, and they asked us to replicate it in some regional branches. This started and ignited an idea in our mind. So to facilitate this request, with the national team and the chief on innovation volunteering, decided to create a training on strategic foresight. We also decided to focus and push on youth, creating specific workshop to work and experience strategic foresight together with them, and return them the curiosity, interest, and trust. As Italian Red Cross youth, me too, Italian Red Cross youth would have been our bet, our gamble. If it goes well with them, as said, present and future before being future of our national society, we thought about that, then it can only go greater with everyone else too. After that, in November, the training has been approved with the experimentation phase, which will run throughout 2024, and presented by our national president to the National General Assembly. And after that, we decided to get serious with them, with youth and youth volunteer, creating a workshop that would be based on the training written down and approved, that would allow us to experiment with our tools, and that would be able to enhance the associative role of the Italian Red Cross youth as the future of our national society, but also as innovator, a bringer of change. As I said, we had 2 occasions. The first workshop was held in Benevento, in Campania region, in a side event during the regional Italian Red Cross youth meeting. And the next one, the second one, was held in Cantù, in Lombardy region, near Milan, in another side event during the regional youth meeting, a youth regional assembly. In that occasion, we went there with mixed teams of trainers composed of members of the working groups as volunteers and officers. And both the workshops were based on the same structure in a way, starting with personal vision of the future, going on with collective ideas of the future, exploring local trends in some way, and the mega trend, global trends, with signal, for example, or wild cards like black swans or black elephant or other future animals, like we used to say. After that, we tried another tool called the Future Will. With this tool, we tried exploring and defining different scenarios, starting from a trend and their implication, as well as hypothetical strategies, for example. And in this picture, particular, in this one, in that Future Will, that was based in the base trend was NEAT, not engage in education, employment, and training, a problem we have in Italy, in all the country. And at the end of both of them, participants were excited of what they did, tried, and discovered. And we learned and found out something about, after these first workshops, that youth were the perfect audience to experiment in a concrete and structured strategic foresight workshop, because young people have unexpected skills and the right mindset to step outside box, and their enthusiasm, hope, and aspiration are so contagious and motivated us all as a team. But nonetheless, thinking about the future is not easy, especially thinking about their own personal future for the first time. But as said, youth are resourceful and are able to think outside the box with the right amount of time. I think all of us need the right amount of time to think about our personal future. After that, despite that, the last part of the workshop was the hardest to process, because thinking about the actions and decisions to be taken today in view of different future scenarios requires a variety of skill, knowledge, and associative role. And this is not a matter of youth. This was one of the things we noted from our training, and usually comes back every time we did a workshop. Diversity in this way is crucial and useful in strategic foresight. This is just one solution. And this is the reason why we are trying to think about a different mix of audience and skills for our next audience. A mix of various roles, but with one request: be aware of the basics of strategic planning, associative policies and strategies and actions. But as Italian Red Cross, we have we improved our specific module in most of our training, and we added that to the Future and Foresight training too, for example. And our next phase, as said, will be the Future and Foresight training experimental phase. Oh, I have an error here. Starting with another session. I think we will have a third one. I don't know. It depends on how they will go. But before ending my speech, I would like to focus on a thing with you. Climate change. We are facing in some way every day the effects of the climate crisis, with increasingly widespread and extreme events, which impacts in many different ways in a variety of fields, as you can see, with effects but also opportunities involving an increasing number of people. Even us, not only as people but also as humanitarian actors, we are facing every day new challenges in order to prevent and alleviate human suffering. New challenges that need new point of view, ideas, resources, and opportunities to be faced. In a word, as Justin said previously, we need innovation. But there is no innovation without a price to pay. And this is the bravery to be brave enough and the courage to make new out of the box and sometimes unpopular decision and take risks today to gamble everything toward a better future. Future literacy in this way and strategic foresight and will have a central role in all of these, allowing us to better anticipate changes and seize opportunities that could emerge in the future, revealing options for experimentation with innovative approaches and to stress test existing and proposed strategies and policies. But remember, all of these are just tools in our hands and not solutions. It's all on us in how we'll use them and in the decision we will take with them. As said, it's just a matter of courage and believing in us as volunteers. It's always a matter of humanity. Thank you. This is the end of my speech.
Thank you, Simone. Really enjoyed, and thanks for your you can stop sharing. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you, Simone, for your presentation.
Okay.
I hope everyone
You're
enjoyed like
welcome.
I did as well. And it's very good to before the transition to Ashraf's presentation, because we designed this session. First, we can touch upon what the strategic foresight means, and how the Red Crescent volunteers and national societies have been working on it, and how, what kind of tools and what kind of strategy to foster the strategic foresight. Sorry, yeah. Yes, and now I would like to invite Ashrafo, and he will share more practical tools within the climate and environmental crisis, particularly in Bangladesh context. Since I haven't been to Bangladesh yet, I'm very, very excited, I would love to have Ashrafo. Ashrafo, you can share your screen now.
You want me to share my screen, or from your end would be good? Because sometimes
Okay, no problem, no problem. Okay, then I will share my screen. Just a second. Mm.
and I think I can take this time while the transition is happening from Simon's to my presentation. Thank you very much who have been considering this time to be part of this important webinar. I use the word important very intentionally. That's because of its a lot of power in the youth, and always when you start working with the youth, and what Simon actually concluding in his later slides, like youth are the perfect audience actually to start with to execute the plans and strategic foresight, bringing their skills, knowledge, and behavior. So that's the future that they are designing at the moment. And I found myself, it's really interesting, and what a coincidence, or what a nice way of tagging Justin to me with uh, him is we are exactly trying to implement the tools that he was mentioning, Simon was mentioning about. So let's give us some sort of understanding how we've been using the tools and how we are considering the youth for anticipatory action, considering the anticipated disaster due to climate change. I can't see any screen other than a few faces. Is that whatever also other people are seeing? Have you started running the slides from my?
Yeah, we can see it.
You can see
Yes,
it.
yeah, you can. Yes,
I
it's
can't. I
shared.
can't.
Yeah. Oh, you
Really?
can't.
No, that's
Uh,
something really weird. Can you? Okay, would that possible to share from my end then would be better, I
Yes.
guess.
Just a
Okay.
second.
Don't know the reasons, but what about now? Can you see my screen?
Um, no, I don't think you shared your screen yet, but
Oh, really? What's going on
no.
here then? It's really hard.
Let me share it again. Let me share it again. Can you see my screen?
It seems now something is coming up, but it is not yet there. Oh, let me
Um,
turn
uh,
off my camera. Might have resolved if any internet issues.
I don't think that's an internet issue, but Simone, hi, everybody, can you see my screen now?
I can see it.
Yeah, I can see it.
I don't have a problem.
Right? Then maybe I don't know. Maybe I can share your screen, and you can just watch your screen, and we can just move to the next slide together. What do you think?
Okay, let's try. Has started sharing the screen. Yeah, let's do that with then. That's fine. Okay, so my experience will be shared as the title, like bringing the youth to the forefront of the anticipated climate-induced disaster that they mentioned, and I will be talking on first, like is for One Bangladesh that I'm leading at the moment. That's a multidisciplinary expertise pool who comes from practitioners and academia, individual researchers, community users of the information like climate information. So that kind of things. And we established 2019 and working on 6 different hazards in Bangladesh. And for One Bangladesh is a global for one community. And we do have other communities in Philippines, Madagascar, Nepal, Pakistan, and few more are coming up in 2024 as well. Uh, how do you work? We bring the experts from different disciplines, as I mentioned, and these are like 6 different hazard specific group that we have at the moment: riverbank erosion, cyclone, health hazard, flood, landslide, and cold wave, heat wave kind of things. So these are our hazard expert pool, but the number is growing so fast, and what we are getting right now, we are having almost like all the public universities across different climate hotspots in Bangladesh who are part of this expertise group and helping us, guiding our members. Right now in its third, Bangladesh, we have 45 national and international NGOs who are part of this network and doing these humanitarian actions ahead of disaster and right after the disaster. So how we vision the youth for anticipatory action? I believe, like most of you know, anticipatory action. This is basically when Simon was mentioning about the future. When you know the future, then you start doing some things, and it is very much kind of immediate future when you talk about anticipatory action. So what's going to happen when you are getting some sort of forecasting information? Yeah, when you receive that, and before the landfall of that kind of event, you get some sort of very small period of time that you can basically work something very solid to reduce the impact of the impending disaster. Yeah. So that's the anticipatory action window. So you start with the risk information, you understand the situation, the climatic risk, vulnerability, and the capacity of the communities who are suffering from different sort of hazards or climatic events. Yeah. Then you have that risk profile, then you know the forecasting information available in that context, and bring both together to react before the disaster happens. And in that domain of anticipatory action, we found youth can be really, really influential and very important kind of stakeholders that most often we overlooked. So what we are trying from the start engagement is like the bringing the youth in a very different dimension, and we are considering right now three dimensions, like how we can engage youth, sensitize youth so that we can change and or we can at least give them some sort of clue so that they can change their behavior in such a way that can contribute to the vulnerable communities very efficiently and effectively ahead of disaster or climatic event. So that's, we are not starting from the skills of knowledge. So skills of knowledge we are putting at the second and third pillars. So first we want to induce with the real situations. They know their situations well, but then how they can actually understand, perceive the situation in such a way so that they feel the pressure, they feel they are sensitized enough to change their behavior, to nudge different people, stakeholders in the society in such a way. So right now, so this is the engaging part, connecting part, and capacitating part of the youth. That's the kind of tools and the kind of modalities that we've been considering. So now it's very much kind of theoretical, but how we do that things. If you move to the engaging youth, locally led actions kind of thing slide.
Ashrafo, I'm so sorry, but which slides are you at now? I'm so sorry.
Engaging youth, locally led action.
Oh,
So
yes.
right,
Okay. Please tell me next slide so that I can move the slide, because the slide is I'm sharing your screen now. The screen. I'm sharing my screen now.
okay, then what I will be doing, I'll just indicate you like
Yes.
that,
Just say
then
next
perhaps
slide.
like you can.
Then yes.
Okay, okay, thank
Thank
you.
you.
So, so among the three pillars that we think is important is engage, connect, and capacitate the youth is really crucial to act ahead. Yeah. So that's something strange. I can see how I can see this thing. Okay. Uh, I think now the Zoom started
Now,
working. Now it seems like Zoom started. Okay, I can see your slide right now.
yeah,
This is this is fun. Yeah.
it's okay.
Okay. Can you move to the next slide? So this is like the
Sure.
theoretical part, like the strategic part, and then how we are executing these things with the real community, real people. So engaging youth is our first kind of thing. So engage them in their society so that they can actually design the locally led action. So it's not about only like letting them know, but bringing them into designing locally led actions, be empowered them in such a way so that they can be the blood for that kind of actions. Yeah. So if you move to the next slide, Justin, then we can tell you like how we are doing that for landslide kind of thing. You know, like due to climate change event, there will be few places in Bangladesh where we will be experiencing less rainfall, and the other part of the countries will be facing more rainfall. For example, the southern part of Bangladesh will be facing more rainfall, which is kind of hilly areas and where the indigenous people live beside the native Bengali communities as well. And there are a lot of anthropogenic kind of interventions happening right now. So if there are more rainfall, we can expect there will be more landslides as well in the recent year and in coming years, more often landslides. So what we are trying to do with the youth lens is like bringing that kind of generic kind of, okay, climate change will be happening, there will be more rainfall over there, more landslides, but so exactly which place, which areas, yeah, because people live in the place and they want to know is their place is really vulnerable or not. So that's where we are trying to bring that kind of scientific available kind of knowledges, satellite image analysis, available information analysis, socioeconomic information, vulnerability capacity, all the information. We are trying to bring it together first, and then landslide susceptible zones, put them together, trying to understand whether those places are really vulnerable or not. And then what we try to do, we try to also understand what is the available indigenous knowledge, considering their past experiences, and can we really blend it? And that's where we see, since like, yeah, youth are really in the middle of these things, they know that those people who are kind of aged, old, so they've been getting that kind of generational knowledge. At the same time, they also know that kind of scientific information, forecasting. So they are breezing that kind of things, and how we can bring this scientific information and indigenous knowledge together to engage the youth in such a way so that it can bring this community, give them the confidence enough, because when you are outsider going there telling them you should do that, you should not do that, they are not listening you when you are not over there. Perhaps like they will be respecting you for the time being, but when you are not there, they are not going to listen to you because you are not one of them. So our kind of way of like, okay, bring those kind of youth from their society, and uh, and connect the scientific information with them, then they will judge how they can connect the indigenous knowledge and scientific knowledge. And that's where we really want to transfer the trust. If you move to the next slide, interesting. So then localized kind of trigger, localized signs. We think this is so important to understand and to tell them, not to tell them, but they will tell their communities people what to do or what not to do, considering the both aspect of indigenous knowledge and scientific knowledge. So because they know their places much better than any other scientists who are sitting outside their places. So that's why we found the youth can be the real like change maker for that kind of communities to bring up with the right actions to be taken by them. So is the communities, they are using their languages. It's not even like we are working in Bangladesh. And there are different languages over there. So it's really important when we communicate, we should communicate with their languages, and they should be communicated. They should develop all the materials in their kind of language, because language is one of the first very important trusting medium where they feel comfortable to go with that. So beside the local people, beside their own languages, when these people seeing okay, the forecast, what they're receiving as a forecast and what's happening in the real field is very much kind of very close, then they have their confidence to act ahead of any kind of landslide happening after 7 days or 8 days due to heavy rainfall. You see? So that kind of confidence need to be built by the community, and that's what we are trying to do. If you go to the next slide, just to show you how we are trying to build that kind of confidence and trust within the community. Yes. So what we did, the young students, the youth, they have read that kind of rain gauges. It's a very simple, very common thing, yeah, in the books. Perhaps like you are thinking, why is a very big issue? It's not a very big issue, perhaps for you people, but who are marginalized, who never get the chance to see the rain gauges event. So when they see the rain gauge installed in their places, yeah, and they can see how much rain is happening, they can measure it, and at the same time, when they're receiving that kind of forecasting information, then they see how the science and their reality, whether it's matching or not. So that actually gives them that kind of confidence. So when we talk about the climate change impact or that kind of scenario things, is about like, okay, you really don't know, you're not really sure about. But when you see it's happening, you see that there is a deviation, per very kind of consistent deviation, or perhaps it's very close, then the community start believing, okay, so what the youth people is telling to them, they should listen to them very carefully and they should act ahead. So that's how we found it's really interesting the youth are seeing it and believing it, and then when they are telling it to their community, the community feels is safe information. It's not outsider information, it's very internal kind of information. If we move to the next slide, so now we are trying to bring all the kind of made people who are sitting at the national level to that to the community level, building that kind of trust, confidence, so that whatever is being produced from the scientific kind of community, the community themselves can also access that and can use that. Because the most important thing is like whatever sophisticated method or efficiency you come up with, if the community don't understand, don't believe, they don't feel the confidence, they don't want to act on it. So we are, that's how we are bringing the youth into this kind of anticipatory reaction in such a way. So they measure the rainfall, they tell us what is the observed rainfall, and we share them what is the forecasting rainfall can happen in next 10 days. So this is really nice thing of bringing them into this to change their kind of usual behavior. If we go to the next slide, then we will show you. So this is one way of bringing both science and knowledge, indigenous knowledge together. But then okay, so what we can do with the youth. So when we talk about the risk-informed decisions or data-driven decision, you need data. But do you have enough data that can give you that kind of tools to decide? Perhaps not. So who's going to produce the data for them? If there is no project over there, then how you could even expect that data will be generated? Because different people, they use for different purposes their data, and most often many places you don't have even data. Yeah. So then how you can take a data-driven decision? That's why we are connecting youth. So we thought like, okay, if we if we train the youth and start telling them, okay, go for deep mapping, yeah, so they can do the mapping and they can generate the information and whether that information is useful or not. So if we go to the next slide, that we actually tested and it worked super. So for the very first time in Bangladesh, just if you move to the next slide, that we can tell you this, the points here, dots you are seeing, this is the output of a deep mapping from those kind of youth volunteers who've been living over there, pointing out which households can be eroded, like the riverbank erosion, which houses are really vulnerable and can face that kind of consequences. And they actually, from their kind of information generation and our forecasting, existing forecasting news, we figured out these are the households are mostly vulnerable. And this year in August, okay, I think I'm rounding out of time. Yeah. So this year we've been predicted like 115 households to be eroded. And finally, and it was kind of 15 to 20 days ahead of the time happening. And 80 households, they've been relocated due to this kind of mapping. And they saved their kind of movable asset, the houses, ahead of the disaster. Yeah, the land cannot be saved, but the houses were saved. So this is how the youth can be also helping. And if we go to the next slide, so the last thing is like, okay, that's how we are bringing the youth to go for more data generation kind of things and capacitating youth, like as that was Simon last slide as well, innovation. Yeah, and we are innovating with them, the youth. So how we are doing that? We have introduced our first disaster hackathon in Bangladesh last year, inviting all the university students to come up with their kind of ideas to solve the existing kind of operational and technical problems faced by climate change people and the humanitarian people. Yeah. And if you move to the next slide, so that's the kind of thing that we have initiated in Bangladesh, and we are planning to do it in other countries as well. Next slide with Open Mapping Hub that we did this year. And the next year, we'll be doing it again. And the thing is engaging youth towards innovation, because we think the ideas that we have got last year, we are implementing, cultivating this year to bring some real changes. And we are also arranging Disaster Hackathon 2.0 in coming years to bring more youth and more young mind to to change ourselves, the traditional system. Thank you so much. And I think I took more time than it was expected. Over.
No problem, no problem. Thank you, Ashrafo. Thank you, Ashrafo. And yeah, I just stopped the sharing. Yeah, it was. I really enjoyed as well, and I actually wanted to. I also have some questions, and then it's very interesting how youth is engaged with the indigenous community and working on the climate disasters response, particularly in anticipatory action as well. And also definitely, if we had more time, I would wanted to follow up some. Questions, particularly in data-driven decision making in terms of disaster response. And then lastly, you mentioned the hackathon process program, and actually, we in Red Crescent we also have a similar program called Limitless Youth Innovation Academy. It's like giving some spaces to the youth volunteers and staff members to implement their own innovation idea. And maybe I can just briefly quickly share it now. Yeah, this is the poster, but yeah, again, it's the Limitless is coming back. It's back, and we had a this kind of hackathon program during the pandemic. So we supported youth volunteers to think in an innovative way to solve their community-based social or climate environmental issues. But again, and this time we are doing it again, and it's particularly focused on the climate and environmental challenges. So that's why we also invited you, and you really gave us much insights and information, particularly how strategic foresights can be used. Not only strategic foresight, but also the role of youth and either the role of youth and also data-driven decision, particularly in the context of landslides and floodings in Bangladesh. And I really hope that some of the participants here in this room got some lessons from Ashrafo's presentation. And definitely, if you want to participate in the Limitless, you can. I think it's a good strategy um, to 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 refer to his presentation. Yes, again, thank you so much. I actually received some questions privately to Simone and Ashrafu as well, but we don't have much time, so I will just, if you guys don't mind, we will just finish it in 10 minutes because we've already received some questions and definitely we would love to cover the questions. So very quick. First, Simone, I have a question from a participant in the chat. Thanks for your session, and I'm curious about the toolkit, the future. I think the Future Foresight toolkit that you mentioned in 2022, and can you explain it more? What it's looked like and how it's used in the workshop? First one is that, and the second, I will give you the second one too. How can we foster culture of proactive planning and strategic foresight within our national society? This was the question from Japanese Red Cross Society. So I think you can answer two questions at the same time. Yeah.
Right now? Okay, I'm joking. Okay, about the toolkit, we are still working on it. It's curious because we finished it before we started with our first workshop, and it's a kind of document file where we wrote down all the information, all the insights, all the instruction to replicate all the activities we learned with Solferino Academy in the training of trainers we did in 2022. And in it there are some of these activities, and it will be a tool we will give to the participant of our training and not also the trainers now in doing.
Is this only me, or can you hear Simone? Or we
No.
lost him?
Actually, I don't
It
think
is
so.
broken. Yeah.
Hi, Simone, you're back. No, we cannot hear you. We cannot hear you. I don't know. Wait, is it my problem? I just cannot hear everyone.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
I think it's my earphone. Where did you lose me? At the beginning of my question or my answer? Oh, come on.
Yes, at the beginning. No, at the beginning of your answers, yes.
Okay. In a short way, the toolkit were a document and at the beginning, okay, and it's a document to be created after the training with the Solferino Academy, and in it there are it's a kind of archive of all the instruction, all the insight, all the feedbacks we received for every activity we did with Solferino Academy, and we replicated in our workshop in the National Society. It is a tool for the trainers, and it will be, after we complete it in the future, it will be a tool for the participant of the experimental phase of the training in strategic foresight to they will use to try to replicate with our support the workshops in their region and their local branches with their governing board or volunteers. About the second question, how you can let me try it back. The question was these. Okay, how we can we foster a culture of proactive planning and foresight within our national society? I think I have two answers. One is not the best one, and one I think it's the good one. The not so best one is mine personal, because I'm a kind of hyperactive, and it's to be annoying in some way. No, I'm joking. It's to insist in some way in with volunteers to let them try, let them play with strategic foresight, and the right way in some terms. It's with that try to create a team, try to create a group of people trained and aware of what we are doing with strategic foresight, how does it work, the future tools and other things. Try to work with them to create some events, some workshops, some situation where you can try to expand the knowledge of all the volunteers, and try to collaborate with other partners, as we said, to not be on your own. Try to expand your horizon with strategic foresight. There are so many partners all over the world. Even in Italy, I have so many partners I can collaborate with, and we can collaborate with, and try to work with them, learn from them, and use with them your and their experience.
Thank you, Simone. On top of
You're
your
welcome.
on top of your message, it was very impressive that you mentioned that the strategic foresight is not a solution but a tool. And what you just mentioned that we can just play with the strategic foresight tool and like thinking together and learning each other. I think that's the beginning of the fostering the culture of the strategic foresight, and that's why we were very impressive about what you've been doing in the Italian Red Cross with volunteers. And again, thank you, Simone and Ashrafo. I also received a quick question privately. Hi, Ashrafo. Thanks for your presentation. How can youth be more involved in anticipatory action? What skills is the most needed? I think it's more like you mentioned like anticipatory action and also role of the youth, and they are very good at engaging communities and very close to communities. But I think more practically, as a senior anticipatory action professional in this field, like what would yours advice for the youth who wants to develop their skills to work in this field?
Yeah, the first thing is like to acknowledge like they are needed because we've been working in this. I've been working in this field for last 5 years, and I don't see like that many organizations who've been developing because it's a very in the early age, the early stage of development of anticipatory action. So it's not that many organizations who are considering how youth can be part of this anticipatory action. So well, we've been working in the field and trying to make the anticipatory reaction more localized because people want to know the information locally, not in very generic way. So what will be happening in my place? That's their kind of first demand. And then when you see that kind of arts from the community, then you see like, okay, how you can deliver that kind of information to them, whether they will be really uh, uh, getting the information rightly. Then you find, okay, there are some young people who goes to schools, colleges, they perhaps can be a very good kind of connector to this kind of information and community. Yeah. So that's the first thing. We found like that's where the youth can be part of it. And then we started piloting this kind of engagement thing, and it worked out very nicely. That gives us the second layer of confidence. Okay, if they are interested, if they can be used, then they can be also part of the uh, design of the actions because when they want to act ahead of the time without having a project. So don't consider project will be there for always, yeah? So when there will be no project, but people are acting ahead, I think that's the success of any anticipatory action. And when that can happen? So it can happen when the young people, they see it's useful and they are using that thing uh, and they're sharing that information with their community. So this is a kind of habit, you have to make that kind of habit. So this is one way, and the another way we found, since they are very interesting to be part of this process, and they act earlier than the NGO organization people staff goes over there because they are over there, they know how to do it very quickly, who to nudge. So it is working very nicely. Second thing is like they can be part of the deep mapping part of it because everyone nowadays having some sort of like mobile or some sort of devices that they can use it for sharing their information, do the mapping, and to disseminate the information very quickly. And the third thing is like we found they really are the very keen to change the situation. So, and that's why they want to innovate more as well at the same time. So now we are bringing that kind of cases before the anticipatory action communities so that they can think of how they can connect the youth very often in their design phase because many of the anticipatory action design, they're not considering youth at the moment. But we see there is a huge potential to use and engage the youth over there and can have the leverage of more localized kind of action, more localized kind of forecasting. And it's also very important for the National Hydromet Agency as well to understand whether their forecasting is really performing well or not. Because at that level, they don't have that much capacity to spread out at that much. Yeah. But when the youth can share that kind of information to them, then they can also build their system better in the future. So these are the ways that we found youth is very essential and overlooked kind of um, energy for anticipatory action, and not only for anticipatory action, but also climate change thing. Because when we talk about the climate change impact and those kind of things, so how are you going to operationalize those things? How it will be materialized? Like, okay, if there are rainfall changes over the time, like the next season, then how the people will know who are farming, doing some agriculture, planting or sowing some things, then they don't know this information. Yeah. And they don't trust that information. So you can talk about big things. Okay, it will be happening, it will change, but it doesn't mean anything to them. So to mean something to them, you need to bring this kind of youth into this scenario so that they can transmit that information in a very reliable way. That's how we think. It's not only solving the disaster kind of problem, but it also can be very important and critical kind of services that can be delivered by them. Yeah.
Thank you, Ashraful. I think that was a fantastic final remarks of this today's session. And it really that was very not only engaging but also very insightful. And I will definitely share the recording file with the other youth volunteers. I'm definitely sure they will be more motivated by your messages.
And just can I just respond on Fahad thing?
Right?
Yeah, Fahad, thank you very
Yeah.
much. Just a
Yeah.
quick thing. So thank you very much. Yeah, the Red Crescent Red volunteers are over there. Even we found that for landslide, we've been training them. But they are very much on the kind of response side of the things. But I was talking about the anticipation side of the things. So you have that kind of resources, but you just need that kind of orientation and kind of attention, how you can use your resources for that kind of anticipatory kind of angle. Yeah, that was my point. Thank you very much for bringing that.
Thank you, Ashraful. Fahad, do you want to speak, talk a bit, maybe response to Ashraful's or Simone's comments and speech? I'm happy
Uh,
to give you the floor. Yeah.
okay, so I'll just take 1 minute. I think I'm audible. Sorry for that. I'm in the streets right now in Dhaka. I was really enjoying the whole session, especially Ashraful Bhai. Thank you. Thanks so much for the detailed information and the great Simone. He's like being a vanguard for like the strategic foresight, even for in Bangladesh when we did the strategic foresight workshop with the volunteers. He was going through that with me, and we are planning it together, and it was amazing. So first of all, thank you, Ashraful Bhai. That was really amazing. It was really interesting, and I actually echo with you that we are on the response side of the anticipatory action right now. But you are actually very correct that youth involvement in the upper ladder in the action, like the early warning phase, has not been we do not have that space. That's actually true. Well, but the thing is, there are opportunities, there are some hopes. Right now in BDRCS, when we about the Google, the support thing. Right, there's a system where we take help from Google to uh, like uh, like raise awareness, so not like alert people when the disaster comes, so that people know. So in that strategy right now, we are actually training up our volunteers so that the resource online is getting it gets bigger. So basically right now we're trying to keep them on board through our we have disaster management teams right now. They are on the response team, but now we are at BDRCS. We're kind of focused on like bringing up the youth volunteers in the system so that they can contribute to the thing that Ashraful Bhai said. So I really liked how he mentioned the whole thing. I was going to like explain it, but he did it fantastically. So I'm just thankful to him and Simone, the amazing Simone, and everyone who actually uh, are here and present in this engaging session at IFRC Software in the Academy. We think about how to innovate things and how to do more good things. And through these kind of sessions, I think we can do it. And as a like global movement, we can also believe that this sort of like tools that we have right now, it eventually will benefit us. So I am not going to take some time. Yeah, I think I'm done with what I have in mind right now, because when Justin told me, I was actually caught off guard, but I didn't want to miss that opportunity to thank these both of these amazing facilitators of this session. So thank you again, and yeah, we're all here for the humanity. Thank you.
Thanks, Fahad. Thanks, Fahad. There was a fantastic final remarks. I think I don't need to do that. I think, yeah, the session is done. I'm very sorry. It's been like a 15, 17 minutes delayed, but I'm very glad that most of you guys have enjoyed the session, and really big thanks to Ashraful and Simone. And again, I can share their presentation files or their email address if you guys have any questions or want to follow up some conversation. So again, thank you so much.